everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Maneaters Series in a whole new season. Season freaking two. Two. I keep thinking it's three because all the other shows I'm doing are on three now. This is on two. So, and I've got my special guest here who was on actually the first episode of the first season. So there you go. Please welcome John Ward. How you doing, John?
I'm fine. Thanks for having me on. How are you?
Good. I'm glad we have you back for the first episode. Back. Yay. So we're gonna talk about a movie called Black Swarm. And I say it like that because it's such a silly, fun movie. But first of all, I didn't know Robert Englund was in it when I picked it and everything. I wasn't looking at that, so that made me happy. And secondly, I didn't know it was directed by David Winning, who I think I'm still Facebook friends with or so. So, oh boy. But he's a great director. He's done a lot like Are You Afraid of the Darks? And I think he did one of the Sandlots or something. He's done a bunch of stuff. And
I looked him up because I was curious of him, and this guy's done more Christmas movies than any other filmmaker out there.
For real?
He has like 20. Yeah, he has like 20 Christmas movies listed on IMDb.
I don't know, man. Lifetime, man. They're putting so many out there like all the time that filmmakers.
But are they all directed by the same guy?
Some are. I was just in one that was directed by Jake Helgren. So maybe he's taking over for David. I don't know. But there are a lot of them are, they get made and then they have like one for every day of the week in December, Like
I don't know if these are Lifetime or Hallmark or what. I just looked them up and I saw it was just, Life in Christmas, Dance in Christmas, Presents of Christmas. It was just like, my God, this guy's done like 20 Christmas movies.
And they all say Christmas in the title, so you know what you're getting into.
They all. Yeah.
You know what you're getting yourself into. Just like with this movie, Black Swarm, I guess I'll read the back of the cover. So I've got the DVD. You said you had a DVD of it, but it had like two other movies on it.
Right. Yeah, it's a collection.
Swamp Devil, which I've already done. We did for last year's.
Yep. I Am the Beast, which you and I did.
Which you and I did, and Black Swarm. So there you go.
Black Swarm. And Black Swarm is a lot better than I Am the
Beast. And we'll get into that because it's definitely a lot better. But welcome to Blackstone, the township of good neighbors, now home to something more ominous, an invasion of intelligent and deadly. Were they really that intelligent? We'll get into that. Genetically altered wasps. Yeah. As the attacks grow in number, more residents are mysteriously transforming into killer drones. That was a cool little thing there. It's clear these wasps are carrying out a single terrifying purpose: to exterminate humanity. But who or what is behind it? Now the dark cloud descends. You haven't got a chance. The Black Swarm is here. I mean, that pretty much sums up the movie. Would you say?
Yeah, and it's funny because when I put in the disc, automatically the trailers started.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first one that it showed was Yeti, which is one that I wanted us to do. But when I saw the trailer for it, I'm like, well, I kind of like the Yeti, but the rest of the film doesn't look that great. But it's just like, okay, Yeti, that's cool. Then Vipers came up with Tara Reid, and I'm like, ooh, now she's fighting snakes, not sharks. So I thought, okay, well, that might be a good one to watch. And then The Hive with ants looked amazing. And so I said, okay, I'm going to go look at the Black Swarm trailer because I didn't read what the film was about at all. I just figured it was just like a swarm of bees. And the trailer for that looked great. And then that's what I figured out. Hey, Robert Englund's in this. So it went up that notch. And so I'm like, okay, hopefully the film holds up, to what the trailer shows. And it did.
Yeah, it definitely did. So we've already done Yeti on the show. Me and Paul did it. We've done Vipers. Me and Madeline Deering, I think, did Vipers. And what was the other one? The Hive.
The Hive.
I think that's
with
funny.
Ants.
I think I've got Matt. Who do I have for that? I've got somebody already scheduled for the Hive, which will be this season. And you have that yourself too?
I don't. It's one actually that I'm willing to track down because this. If you watch the trailer, the ants make people. So like you can actually see like this giant. I don't know what you would call a giant nest of ants or swarm of ants, but they make a fist, like an arm and a fist, and it's all ants. And they start punching people in the trailer, and it looks amazing.
I saw that too.
Like, oh my
yeah.
God. It's like, this looks great.
I know.
And it's just like, so I gotta get that. So out of all of them, that's one that I have to own.
I do think it's available on like Tubi or someplace, online, so you can find it. Some of these are actually available, I think, on like YouTube. Like some people just rip them and put them on YouTube, which kind of sucks.
Sure.
But in the same sense, like because I prefer to own them, and I have almost every. I have almost every Maneaters movie. So yeah, and so we're doing 10 this year, and then so that'd be I think 20 total, and then from last year's, and then next year, I guess we'll have to do. I don't think there's 30 total, so it'd have to be like 8 or 7 more, whatever it was, because they stopped at like I think 27. They stopped at, so if I can track down all 27 movies, or whatever, and get them, because some are not available online and some are really hard to find, but you can get them, so.
And you could always throw in like just 3 extra, movies that deal with nature gone wild, even if they're not.
I don't want to do that. Like I don't want to do that. If it's called if it's called Maneaters, it ends at like 27. Like whatever. But I wish that like this would get a lot of interest so that they would make more. Like I would like to see more Maneaters movies. I mean, they should have done 30. They should have just ended it on 30 and said that's it. But 27 just makes it look like they just ran out of money or something, which they probably did.
Right.
I'm just saying. I mean, I don't know, because not all of them are produced and directed and starring the same people. It's just, I guess, Sci-Fi was just putting these out and calling them the Maneaters series.
Well, it makes sense. Companies bring out collections that have titles for that collection.
Yeah.
So so that's maybe a complete after thing.
So let's start from the beginning. Like in the beginning, basically starts off with one of the twins getting killed, and you really don't know him yet. It's like nine years before, and I kind of wish there was a little bit more backstory, like and stuff on that.
It's pointless. It's utterly pointless because they show when the twin, spoilers, when the twin gets killed, it just says in the paper in the credits, local twin gets killed.
Right.
Like there's no name. It's not like Josh Williamson, local twin of Joe Bob, gets killed. It just says local Williamson. Twin. No relation. And if they had removed the twin thing, it still would have worked. So they could have had like a random guy, like maybe it's his dad who gets killed. The guy stays, and then the woman comes back and he mentions that she ran out on their marriage, and she has the baby, and then she comes back and says it's your kid. It's the same thing. You just eliminated the twin thing. Why the twin thing? The twin thing serves no purpose in the movie whatsoever,
except for one scene where the girl is running and she sees him and she's never met him, or she's never even heard of this guy. Like her mother has not told her anything that she even her father had a twin brother. So it was so funny. They're in that what is it, cornfield, and she runs and she sees him. She freaks out because she's like, "You're not my daddy. You're a ghost." like,
Well, yeah, which makes no sense. Okay, so remove the twin thing. She runs up to him in the cornfield, and then it just becomes stranger danger. Who are you? I don't know who you are. Let me go. Why is this thing so important? It's not important. Because at the end, it's weird is he tells her, and granted, we're jumping way forward.
yeah.
The surviving twin tells his daughter that he never knew that he had, that he's only the twin of her dad and not to be afraid of him.
He didn't know that. He didn't know that, did he?
No, I guess no, he didn't. And then at the very end, once Robert Englund dies and they're holding each other, he goes, "Your dad is here."
Yeah, that was weird to me.
Why wouldn't the little girl be like, "What? What are you talking about? You said that you weren't my dad." So once again, eliminate the twin thing. Why is the twin thing in this? Because once again, he just finds out that she's his, daughter, and then he tells her at the very end, "Don't worry, your dad's here." Because when they're all happy and everything at the very, very end, when they're at the house together, and everything looks like it's happy and everything, did they have the talk with the daughter? Did they sit the daughter down and go, "Well, your dad died. This is his brother. I was going to marry him. Now he's your real dad. The dad you thought was your dad is not your dad.
That's very confusing as shit, man. That's like a fucked up family dynamic there.
Why are they? Yeah, I would. This is one of those things where I would love to talk to the writers or producers or something and just ask, why was the twin thing important? It wasn't. It served utterly no purpose.
The only reason I can maybe think is that they didn't want to pay one extra person. So they just gave one guy 2 roles, Like that's the only thing I could think of.
You grab a grip. You just get a PA to like just die at the beginning of the film. I mean, it's you pay him, you throw him a few extra.
I mean, you don't even see him die. You just see him fall off the thing or whatever, and then it cuts to the credits. So I mean,
right, and then
it's almost
local twin dies.
Yeah, right, and then it just starts doing the local twin, dies, blah blah blah, which, like, I don't know. That's why I was saying why I wanted more backstory, because like you get so confused by what the fuck is going on, then getting a little bit more backstory of who these people are or something would make you care about the twin thing, I think. Because right now you don't care whatsoever. You're like, okay, now that is their kid. I mean, I don't know. It was just weird. I didn't like that whole angle, It was there for drama, but like there was no drama. You know what I mean? Like you could say it was there for some kind of suspense drama or some kind of big reveal, but like, like it leaves you like going, oh, okay, that's what happened.
Yeah, and there's some pretty ludicrous stuff that happens. Like my favorite part of this whole film is Robert Englund, who is the Frankenstein scientist in this, goes to his white trash trailer and opens up the hatch, and we start to see him go down, and of course it cuts, and then it's him walking in that underground lab. Mm-hmm. That's huge. I mean, huge. So where did this lab come from? The town had to have known that they were building this underground lab that's like a mile long. And all these trucks and everything bringing in all this stuff had to be seen. Like, how did nobody think that this was here? They're like, oh, well, over that huge hole, they just put this trailer.
Right.
And it's a huge plot hole, but I think it's great at the same time because they did it so funny. Is he just lifts that door, starts to go down, like it moves like that, and then it cuts to him just walking downstairs. There's no ladder, there's no nothing. It's
Yeah,
you
that
can
is.
tell.
I never even
there's
like I just let it go. Like when I was watching it, like my suspicion of disbelief just went out through the window when I started watching the movie anyway. So it didn't even but that's really funny. When I watch it again, I'm gonna be like, oh, that's funny. But yeah, Robert Englund, yeah, because the whole lab is huge, and then you're like thinking, how the fuck did he get there? Really, like
Yeah.
he's did not go down those steps. He must have gone down those steps, down to another step, whatever. I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah,
And then
it would. I could understand if the trailer was the lab,
right.
And of course he's stupid and doesn't lock the door, so anybody can just come and go as they please. Sometimes even leaves the door wide open. So for something that's supposed to be a secret, he certainly doesn't try.
Yeah, he leaves he leaves the door open, and she like walks in on her own. Like anybody could have done that, and like he is the worst like mad scientist we probably ever seen. But that's obviously not Robert Englund's fault unless he has no say in what a filmmaker does or whatever. Plus it's Robert Englund. You can forgive almost anything with just seeing Robert Englund in the scene.
Oh yeah, he brings it up a notch. There are certain actors that will do that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like even if the movie, everybody else in the whole movie is shitty and doing terrible, which there wasn't. I mean, there was some really good acting in this movie. Even the kid actually was pretty damn good.
The kid was good. I was surprised. She wasn't annoying. She was actually smart. She kind of acted like a kid.
She annoyed Robert Englund's character a little bit, like just asking so many freaking questions. But I did love that line. The end, well, yeah, because they became friends. Which once again, there was a little bit of like, because he had gotten killed, and everything. There was a little bit of a like, how are you still alive, kind of thing to the kid says, but she kind of just accepts everything. She's like, for a kid that wants to be a scientist, she's pretty freaking dumb. Like she's just like, okay, wait a minute. I thought I saw you die. Oh no, I'm not really. And that kind of pissed me off. They did that whole, oh, I actually survived and they didn't really get me kind of thing.
He has his arm wrapped up. No, I lived.
Like, how did he do that himself? Did he have time to go to a hospital and get it done? Like, I mean, none of this gets answered because it would have taken time to explain that. But like, it makes no sense other than, okay, we've got to get them, we've got to get them to destroy whatever, get her back and then leave, and then what I mean, like we have to have him come back. Like it's like they dug themselves into a hole and got stuck, and they're like, well, we could always just bring him back. He just didn't die. I mean,
I guess that was the surprise. It looked like even if he died, they were going to destroy the place anyway. Right. All the government people were just going to come in, and so it kind of didn't matter if he lived or died. In a way.
It was that, and they would have to get rid of him because I guess he was evidence. I don't know. I don't even know why.
I think that's what they were saying. But then he had to redeem himself too, because he created these genetically enhanced wasps that basically turn people into pod people. So this film reminded me very much of Invasion, the 1970 Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and Empire of the Ants. So very similar in both.
Well, here's the thing. I don't understand why Robert Englund's character Eli would create these things and then get upset at himself for what you were creating when you did it. Like you knew this was a weapon for the government.
Well, it's even Albert Einstein questioned that because he was one of the creators of the atomic bomb, and I'm going to misquote it, but he has said if I knew what would happen with the bomb, I would have become a watchmaker.
Yeah, but
So
that's a
you know,
bomb, right? Like,
it's a that could wipe out,
I know, and
miles and miles and spread radiation.
then Albert Einstein, I'm sorry, is sort of dumb to think like if I create this atomic bomb to help create this thing, that they're not going to. I mean, how can you use it for good? There's no like, I mean, if I don't know, I think you know what I mean. Like he's kind of.
It's more of a threat. I mean, when you consider that the atomic bomb was dropped on, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, that's the amount of damage that it caused, and all the testing out in the Nevada desert. I mean, John Wayne died from that radiation when he was filming The Conqueror. Otherwise, he wouldn't have had cancer. So I guess maybe people think that it will actually be used for good.
Kind of like the shit we're going through right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible, because what advantage, as much as the film makes it look cool, what advantage would it be to make drone humans?
I don't know.
Like, how does that help the military?
Well, was that like the plan the whole time, is to make drones, killer drones from the bees, or did the bees or the wasps? I say bees, and everybody kept saying bees, and fucking that one guy just kept correcting everybody. I'm like, dude, we get it.
They were definitely wasps. Yeah, they were definitely wasps.
They were definitely wasps.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, like, bees and wasps to me are kind of, similar enough where I just say bees instead of wasps sometimes. And that's even in regular talk, or whatever, unless I have to describe something specifically. But yeah, the wasps actually create the drones, right? Like they're the ones who are inside the people and everything. Because whenever they're like talking, all of a sudden they open up their mouths and the wasps come out and start stinging everybody. Like they're doing that, and I guess that makes them highly intelligent. But in the same sense, what necessarily makes them intelligent? Because most of the time they're just running into things, or whatever,
Well, I think the original idea was he was going to take those peaches. So like the government would give, I don't know, somebody in a foreign country, like an enemy or something that we're trying to do peace talks with, and they get like a basket of peaches, and it would have that stuff that went in there,
the pheromone. Yeah.
And then they would eat the peach, and then they would set the wasps on them, and they would die. And then reports would be like, "Oh, it's really weird. This dictator died from wasp attack. How strange." But then the wasps started becoming intelligent. This is where Empire of the Ants comes in, and then they start becoming intelligent, making humans their drones. So then they would have human drones to protect the hive.
How does that even work, though? How do they, like, if they're inside the human, how are they pulling strings and making them move around?
I don't know. I mean, it looked kind of cool. I mean, I did like that from the very beginning of the film. Like the very first thing we see is the peach hitting the ground, and then the wasp comes out, and then people are already infected. Because we see the priest walking around, a couple other people are walking around already infected. So it's nice that the film started off with that. Like we didn't have to wait for it.
Right.
But yeah, it never really explains what the purpose of the humans are. It's just that they kind of look cool and it's a threat. Because I was wondering, there's the blind woman, the older blind woman who takes care of the little girl, and she gets attacked. Nice that the little girl just leaves her in the cornfield.
Yeah.
So, which is like, wow, thanks. That's nice of you. The blind woman's yelling for help. And even when the not my I will become your dad twin finds the little girl doesn't even go, oh, the blind girl, the blind woman, she's over
No,
here.
no, no, no. They
Like,
say she's already dead, right? And here's what really pissed me off is at one point, this is like another like continuity issue kind of thing, because there's a few sort of like that. We've kind of already talked about like the, oh, my dad, or what this, this is your dad now, kind of thing. But the woman, whatever the cop, woman, the mother says, oh, she's already dead. You can't, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like thinking, how does she fucking know?
Well, okay, I question that too, because that's after the cornfield.
Right.
So when the twin dad or soon to be dad is with the little girl never says, "Oh, by the way, my babysitter, the blind woman, is somewhere in the cornfield." They just leave. I mean, that's kind of screwed up. And then it's later, yeah, that then they go, "Oh, she's dead."
Not
How do
even
you know
they
she's
said
dead?
that. Like the mother says that. And I'm just like thinking, how the fuck do you know? You weren't there. Like
Something must be cut. Like maybe she had to kill her, and it got cut for time or whatever it is. Because that would have been interesting to me. You have a blind woman who's now a drone being controlled by these wasps. Is she still blind? Like, do the wasps give her sight?
I don't know.
Because that would have been interesting to see.
Yeah.
Like, would the wasps maybe kill her off because, like, you're worthless to us? You can't see.
Right. Who knows? I mean, because this movie really, like, you're right. I think it's cut. A lot of things might be cut down for time or whatever. And they were just like, oh, nobody's going to care about that. And the problem is there's just too many questions a lot of times. Like, I'm okay with questioning things as long as, like, at the end, all those questions are answered, sort of thing, But most of the time, like in the movies like this, they're just like, oh, well, nobody will care, or sorry, we forgot about continuity issues. Like that is a big continuity issue, like when a character is saying something that they shouldn't know, like that's a continuity issue.
Yeah, there's a problem with that. It's a giant plot hole, and it was never filled. So It was, yeah, either they didn't have time, maybe they couldn't shoot it, maybe they just didn't care. They just figured it's a throwaway line.
Maybe this is the first draft, and they just kind of went with it.
Yeah, because this whole thing with the wasp and everything is, I call it the devil bat. I don't know, the devil bat something. But it's basically, I read this book a long time ago, and I forget the name of it, but they compared The Devil Bat with Bela Lugosi to that Dustin Hoffman film, Outbreak. And they said, doctors have said the film Outbreak is so incredibly scientifically wrong that it's like an utter joke, that it's so wrong. But when doctors looked at Bela Lugosi's Devil Bat, they couldn't prove it wrong. And that's because, and that's what these films do, is you never give an explanation. So in Outbreak, there's too many explanations. There's too much scientific jargon that it's wrong.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're Bela Lugosi taking that little bat and putting it in the machine, throw the switch, the bat becomes big, and he gives no explanation for it. It's correct. You can't prove it wrong. And that's what they did here.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the biggest problem with this, film or whatever, is like that there are times where there's just too many explanations or something, of things, and they have kind of dug themselves into holes, and whatnot. And then put a whole lab there for the hole, So
yeah, to me that's just funny.
Yeah. Well, it was one of my favorite scenes though. I absolutely loved almost every scene with Robert Englund and the kid. Like that stuff. Yeah. If that movie had been more of that, I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more. I really didn't care for the scientist who worked for the government or whatever, the entomologist or whatever she was, who worked on the bee stings and stuff.
The evil blonde.
Yeah, the evil blonde chick, because like that the idea that she was like a evil character came out of left field, and I was just like, okay, this is not fun, like I didn't like that, and I didn't like that she had two men in black with her, or whatever, that were helping her, I guess, destroy everything. And then that was one of the worst scenes in the whole movie, honestly, in my opinion, was her, like how much talk there was, I'm sorry, but if you want to shoot somebody, do not go, I am going to kill you, and then start pointing, and then let the other person take out their gun in enough time to shoot them. Like, that was the worst sheriff I've ever seen in my life. Like, she was terrible.
Good thing the blonde was a horrible shot.
Thank God, yeah. And she worked for
Completely
she worked for the government, so I don't know what that tells you. What these people think of the government.
She should have just held her gun like that, just do it all gangsta.
Oh
That
no,
way
but then
a good reason why it would miss.
Oh yeah, well then, oh yeah. So then you could have blamed it on her aim that way, but I don't know. It was terrible. It was so bad. But she was like, what are you gonna do? Arrest me? And I'm like, oh, I hate when people say that about cops. Like,
oh, I'm gonna shoot you.
No, I'm gonna shoot. No, I'm gonna kill you, or something like that.
I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, and then she pulls out her gun when the girl already had her gun out. The other girl shoots first. So who shot first, Greedo or Han Solo? Who shot first, the sheriff or?
I think the blonde even shot first.
I know she shot first, missed. Then the other chick shot her and killed her. And I was like, okay, she's gonna come back. This chick's gonna come back because she has some kind of armor on her. What?
Well, okay. So if this was made in the 80s, and this is what this film is missing very much, in the 80s, you always had the most evil person in the world turn into whatever creature it was. So if you remember that Roger Corman film called The Nest, with all the cockroaches that takes place on the island, the mayor of the island, I think it is, he at the end turns into a giant cockroach.
Are there
and starts killing everybody.
Are there mayors on an island?
I guess you have a sheriff, if it's town or city or whatever it is, sure.
I never knew that. That's interesting. I mean, Amity Island, but like that was more like that was more not really that was just like a beach, thing. That wasn't really a real island. I don't think. Well,
I mean, whatever he was somebody important on the island,
right? And it's probably a mayor.
So he turns into this giant cockroach. So in this, I was hoping, never got it, is Robert Englund injects himself, turns into half man, half wasp, grabs the blonde girl and kills her. So like she shoots him, he drags himself over, injects himself, he becomes half wasp, he's this giant thing, and then he kills the blonde. Mm-hmm. And then that would be kind of, justifying everything. And then of course the evil, government woman is killed by, one of her creations, basically. And so I was really disappointed that you just stayed as a wasp. I thought that was kind of, could have done something cool with this, had him turn into a giant wasp.
Right.
But, I don't know, TV movie, I guess. So they just didn't have the budget for it. So,
right.
And to go to the sheriff woman, they kept calling her like a deputy sheriff. Where's the sheriff? What happened to the sheriff?
No. They call her the deputy sheriff a couple times. Then they call her sheriff a couple times. So I feel like there's I think literally I feel like this is a first draft and somebody wrote it and there's all these mistakes and all these things and they're like, fuck it, we don't have time. Let's just shoot it and we'll figure it out. And then they forgot to like fix little things like the fact that I think there's a deputy, it was supposed to be deputy sheriff and then sheriff. Maybe they didn't even understand the difference between a fucking deputy sheriff and a sheriff. They thought they were the same thing. I don't know.
There is a difference.
There is a big difference.
Yeah, if they had a throwaway line of, oh, the sheriff is out of town, he's on vacation in Hawaii, then she would be the deputy sheriff, and then she would become sheriff while he's gone.
Right.
And then that would have made it up. But they did call her. They'd go like, hey, deputy sheriff. And then, yeah, then it was just sheriff. And it's like, where's the sheriff?
Yeah.
Because she's not the sheriff. Plus, she's brand new to town. There's all these other cops there. Why isn't one of them deputy sheriff or sheriff? Like, why did she get that? I mean, she split from town, had the kid, came back, and now she's kind of at this level of, over everybody else.
I see it as she left town like 9 years ago or whatever, had her baby. She got into law enforcement out there in the city in Manhattan, realized it's very unsafe, got this job offer to work back in Blackstone. So she came back, or whatever. It seemed like, and then that guy was going to be, so another thing.
So when's the twin thing come in?
Right. So here's the here's the thing that I want to go back to with you saying like the twin thing was so unnecessary. So was the plot of him leaving. I'm gonna leave town.
That's Trimmers. Yeah, that's all. That's Trimmers.
Well, no.
I was just naming movies while watching this because Trimmers, they're leaving at the very beginning, and then because they want to get out of there, and then they get stuck because the Trimmers show up. Now,
yeah, but it really didn't.
Yeah, for him to leave. No, it didn't. It didn't add anything at all because he was already planning on leaving before she got there. So he didn't even know. If he was leaving because he didn't want to see her, that maybe be different.
Yeah.
But he left before he even knew that she was there.
In fact, I would have preferred, him to say, okay, I'm gonna leave because me and her have this like history. You know what I mean? Because that would add some drama to the whole thing. Maybe they don't like each other, but they end up falling in love over this whole thing. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's too much for the writers to figure out, how to make work. But like that, I would have preferred because at least there would have been some drama. There would have been some interesting stuff. They should have left off the fact that he was the father because it once again didn't matter, or whatever. It's just all confusing.
I mean, him leaving doesn't. Yeah, it's so if he's the only exterminator in town, he's probably making some okay money. So why not stay? Why not run the business?
If he's the only exterminator in town, then what are they going to do? Like the mayor should have been the mayor, who's terrible, by the way, not the actor, but the mayor himself was just such a lazy character. Like he just literally was just like, okay, so we have a small town, so we have to have a small town sheriff or mayor, So the mayor, this guy who just walks up and starts talking to him about, oh, you're leaving us. I'm sorry, blah, 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 right? I would have loved him to say, hey, is there any way we can make you stay more, give you some more money? What is it from us that you're not getting?
Yeah, we'll repaint your business,
right.
We'll upgrade your sign or something like that.
Something. We'll do whatever we can to make you, because you're the only exterminator in town, right? And so then that would be great because then later he can decide when he decides, okay, I'm going to stick around. He could go to that mayor and say something or say something to somebody and say, okay, the mayor offered me this, so I think I'm going to stick around, or whatever. But really, like him stick around was only because of the love of his life, who he hasn't, which okay. So I want to go back to the fact that they explained it. So he was he was friends with her first, dated her, then she ended up marrying her brother. Like, but there was, and I'm guessing she had sex with him or something, and then ended up marrying his twin brother. What the fuck?
It's very 90210. It's very
not even 90210. Like this is a 90210 knockoff.
But this is the stuff that you see on those types of shows or a soap opera is, I slept with your twin brother. So it's like, yeah, it still could have been that she ran out on his marriage for whatever reason it is. Like she got pregnant. Maybe and he didn't know that she was pregnant. She left. Like she couldn't handle it for whatever reason. And then she comes back. And then there was no reason for the twin stuff. Because that whole relationship is confusing. And we really shouldn't even care. Because it's so boring.
Yeah. It's so overdone. Like it's not necessary.
Yeah, because the way that you just described it, maybe that's what they were
just sprayed it all down, and then said, I sprayed your stuff down, but you had something. I'm not sure what it was. I couldn't tell. They came at me a little bit, but I couldn't tell what it was. If he had done something like that, I could understand. But the way he did and the way he handled it made him like look like the worst, fucking exterminator I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's not good, because I know at my job, if I said, hey, I just saw a wasp come out from the hole in the wall, they would probably be going, oh crap, there's probably more in there.
Right.
And they would get an exterminator to come out and put that smoke in there.
Because he actually did hit something. Something came at him and he hit it. Which so like
maybe he only thought it was just one wasp was back there.
No, he heard we all heard buzzing. There was buzzing in that scene.
He didn't do it for a reason, I'm guessing, because maybe he didn't think that
because he's a bad fucking exterminator character. He was the worst of like all the characters in the movie. Like, I'm not saying the actor was bad. The actor was good. I'm saying the character was terrible. Like,
sure.
Like,
no, the acting from everybody was fine.
Yeah, the acting was fantastic. I loved every actor in the movie. They did their parts, whether they be good or terrible, as well as they could. Like I liked that, but I hated the character. Like, the character just drove me fucking nuts.
Well, remember, he did say that, once his twin died, he took over the company, and he wasn't planning on being an exterminator. So maybe he never studied what an exterminator would need to study. He just took over the company and just...
I'm sorry, but if my town had like one exterminator and we're the only exterminator in the town and he sucked, we would go and say, let's get another, person, for that part, because like the dude wasn't wanting to be an exterminator. He talked about how that's why he was leaving. I think he was going to college or something, or whatever.
Yeah.
He's going to go to college. He was going to get his degree. He was going to go start his life back or whatever. And then of course, now he's, I guess at the end of the movie, he's doing it, but at home in Blackstone. I don't know. Cause they say something like she wants to be a scientist. Right. And then he's like, oh, like Eli. And then she's like, no, like you, like her dad, like her dad, and I'm
which
like,
dad?
I know. Wouldn't that be funny? Well, no, because scientists, but that wouldn't have been funny if she turned and goes, or he goes, which one? Which dad? Like he's all upset at the end. Like
she goes, like her dad. And he goes, oh, like me? And she goes, no, the dead one.
The other one that looks just like you.
Oh, that's God. The one that she really loves.
Apparently not, because that's what she says at the end of the movie.
Think how messed up that kid must be, because her dad dies, doing this extermination
before she was born. By the way,
probably at his. Oh, that's right. Okay. So okay,
I think
so
she was pregnant with her when she had him. It's got a little Gilmore Girls kind of thing going. She was pregnant, except for the dead dad thing, but whatever. But like what I'm saying is like, how I don't know if you watch Gilmore Girls or not, but Lorelai leaves to go to.
I know very little about it.
She gets pregnant and then she, basically has to raise the kids. So she goes and tries to do it on her own without, her parents, and she starts a life and Stars Hollow, and that's sort of what she does here. She starts a life with her new kid somewhere else. That's not this town. I don't know why. There's never really a real explanation as other than maybe grief from the dead father, but like the dead brother, but like even then, like makes absolutely no sense. Like, I mean, we never hear anything about her family, like her father, mother. Like, we know nothing about her backstory except that she left to go to the big city, Manhattan, and she wishes she was there still because when she comes back to Blackstone, what New York, I think it is, like all hell breaks loose when she comes back. Maybe she started the whole thing. I don't know. It's kind of like that Jessica Fletcher thing of like always wondered if Jessica Fletcher is actually the one murdering everybody and then blaming people, getting other people, like she's the mastermind behind the whole thing. That would have been cool.
Who's
actually.
Jessica Fletcher? Who's Jessica Fletcher?
Murder She Wrote.
You never
seen Murder She Wrote?
I have. I just know her. I just know the actress name,
Angela Lansbury.
Angela Lansbury.
But I've always thought that because the whole point of the show is that she writes these books, and about murder and how to solve murders and stuff, and then she's always solving real murders. And I'm like thinking, is she doing this for publicity stunts? Is she, she actually the one murdering the people, and then, what I mean? And then solving the cases and pinning them on other people who didn't really do them.
Right.
Well,
it sounds like Columbo. Columbo did the same thing.
Yeah.
The show started with him already saying, "Oh, that person was murdered by poison."
And all of them all started with Perry Mason. So there you go. I mean, whatever. Anyway, that's not even. That's not Black Swarm. That is not Black Swarm. But Black Swarm wishes they were Murder She Wrote. Because at least they'd explain shit. It's. I'm not gonna lie. Being a writer, it's hard to make a script with a bunch of different characters who all have to like everything has to be explained, right? In some way or another, in some form of writing. It's not the easiest task, So I'll give them that, But I will say, at least don't give us a, oh my God, you're the daddy, Give us the, this is, you're the new daddy, Your daddy died. Now his brother is now your new daddy, Fucking weird.
It's just pointless. That's why when you said it felt like a first draft, it's I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how long these guys have to write these scripts. I don't know, if they give them, 7 days to do it or whatever it is. 7 days.
Maybe.
If you know what that is. But I just watched The Ring, so 7 days. That's where I got that from. I mean, writing is not easy, but it doesn't need to be this flawed. Even though I enjoyed the film, I was never bored. I was
never bored. No, there's always something interesting going on.
Yeah, and I was watching what the director was doing because he does it again with, when Robert Englund starts to go down into the lab and then it cuts to him walking. He does it with the deputy sheriff and the twin. Is they go through a door and the next thing, like he goes, "Oh, I think we're below the river," and you could tell they did the same thing. Like he opens a hatch, they start to go down the hatch, cut to them below, and so I'm now watching the director for this. Like, okay, these are obviously two different locations. We don't. There is no shot of them. I think in that shot, maybe they are going down a ladder, but a lot of times it is just open hatch, start to go down it, cut to them walking.
Already walking.
I was watching that a lot. Yeah, and then he explains where they are. So I was really starting to, I was paying more attention to editing and directing and all that than I was probably in story than I was the movie itself.
And I'll give him credit because like Eli even tells, the little girl, don't come in my don't come into Eli's home, or whatever, and everything. Of course, you tell the little kid not to do something, and what are they gonna do?
Yeah, and
You tell them
she
don't.
ain't no dummy. She
Yep,
looked right down that door.
yep. And she went in it, and then she looked around, and she saw all the wasps and stuff, and then she took a bite of the peach. So now all of a sudden she's the fucking queen. And I'm like thinking, what the fuck?
Yeah, that whole hike thing looked pretty cool. It was kind of like a weird location for it, but it looked cool.
Yeah, I wonder where it was. Like it was down below too, but it wasn't in the lab.
I think it was like a quarry or something, like a rock quarry. Like there's the building that's there, and then you walk in and it's mountain and rock and all that type of stuff. I think it was some sort of factory, like a rock factory. Because the mom, the deputy sheriff, mentions at the beginning of the film, she goes, "Oh, see that place? That's where all the men work. 70% of the men used to work there." And I think that's the place that they're in. Like why point it out?
Okay, that's why. It. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Because at that point, I was
kind of foreshadowing.
I didn't even think about that because I totally forgot about it by the time that the movie was getting to that point. Like I didn't even think about the beginning and why she was pointing out these things. Now that you say that, it makes total sense. But like, yeah, she was pointing that stuff out, and to me, it was just like, oh, okay, why are you giving us this bit of information that,
because that's good writing. So that's she's pointing it out at the beginning of the film, so we can use it at the end. The problem is the direction did not
show that
kind of secure both.
It would have been nice if somewhere in the writing, like, they were like, she's like, where are we? And the kid or something, or whatever, maybe when they were like leaving, and she's like, remember that thing I told you earlier today or earlier this week.
That'd be pretty obvious.
Well, I mean, that would make sense for me. That would be like, oh, I remember that now. I mean, I totally forgot about that.
You need with like the mayor, because the twin says, I think the reason why he's leaving is because everything is shutting down. Because he mentions like a barber shop or something, and he mentions another story. He goes, yeah, those are closed down. That's why I'm leaving. And if maybe the mayor had said during that interaction of, I get it, I understand, even the rock mining factory has closed down, something like that. It's you need more. They could have shown like a couple stores closed up, but I don't think they did.
Right. I totally agree. It's just I mean, okay. Once again, it's not a terrible movie. Like it's not.
No, I enjoyed it. I liked it.
It has flaws.
It has problems.
Yeah. But almost any movie is gonna have flaws. Plot holes. I mean, there's
a lot of good stuff. The wasps look great.
Mm-hmm.
For like CGI wasps, those things look great. The makeup on all the people that were the drones looked really good. The wasps coming out of different things.
The makeup with the like
the
kind
of like welts.
Yeah, the welts and stuff. Yeah, it was
really good.
It was pretty weird that like, remember the doctor, goes to like check the guy, and then the guy kills him, or whatever, the drone kills him and everything. It's just, why wasn't the police like completely involved in this stuff? Because like the sheriff gets called down, right? That's it. There's no other police going around looking around. You know what I mean? There's nothing, and it seemed really strange. Like they didn't have enough money to hire extras or something, So they just had the sheriff come down, or deputy sheriff, whatever the fuck she was, come down into the morgue, and then she's like, the blonde hair chick's like, oh, that person, he you know what I mean? Like it would have been nicer to see more cops around, taking pictures, moving the body out, doing something. It was.
Well, they had him at the beginning, when she
Right.
like her
No,
first
they
day on
did.
the job. You had like the 2 male cops were there. They had the
And she even comes
ambulance
up and says
people
something like,
there.
she's like, hey, gentlemen. And I kind of laughed at that
Yeah.
because I was like, wait, you're sort of, even though you used to live here, so you might have known these guys, but we don't know that, right? The audience just sees her going like, hey, and I'm like, you literally, like, this is your first day, and everything. Like, almost seems like those two guys should have been like, who the fuck is this chick now that's coming up,
Well, that's when you have the sheriff in the sheriff's office, with her telling all the people there, oh, hey, this is Sarah. She just moved back. She's now the deputy sheriff. This is Bob. This is Ted. This is Steve. This is Kim. And we never got that scene. If you don't want to use that many cops, then you just do one. It's all about throwaway lines. Then you then just have a line saying, this sucks. The way that this town is becoming a ghost town, we now only have a quarter of a police department left. You just throw away these little lines and just to let the audience know, oh, that's why we're not seeing cops. And it doesn't cost any extra money because you just put it into some other scene.
Right. Or you explain something like, her saying, the lady asking, are you the only one that's coming to check this out here or something, And then she says, yeah, everybody else is dealing with something else going on, or whatever. Because it's a small town. Like, I can understand if they don't have cops every, you know what I mean? Like, whatever. It's just, I don't know. It's one of those movies where I feel like they had a great idea. They executed a lot of it well, like the wasps stuff and the drones, as you said, and Eli, I always love everything that Robert Englund did in it. And the kid was okay at times, and at times the kid was good. She was a good actress. I'm just saying there were times where I was just like, what the fuck? Like, like, I can understand if you're bored of hanging out with your blind babysitter, but like, she was gone for literally hours, it said, and the blind babysitter didn't go looking for her really or something, like it.
She is blind.
Well, I mean, looking, quote unquote, like, that sounds terrible. There was that cute little scene where she took the glasses off to see the blind lady's eyes, and then she like kissed her.
Yeah, I like that thing.
Yeah, I thought that was cute.
And those eyes look good.
Those eyes look good.
Like
unless
look good,
what if she were actually blind? I don't know. I don't know that. I didn't know that lady.
Maybe.
Should have been. Here comes the thing where I understand, like, it's acting, right? People want to act like they're blind, because it's kind of fun to be different, than you are. But then we're getting into this like world right now, and this was made in 2007, so whatever. But we're getting into this world now where people are going, let's cast a real blind woman to play the role, because not enough blind people are actually getting roles, and the only things that a lot of them actually can play are blind people, So maybe that's what they did. I don't know. I don't know this actress. Probably not. But
I would doubt it. But I could see them doing something like that today, where you're just not going to be. You might as well at some point just stop calling them actors, because then you won't be able to have somebody play a blind person or a deaf person, because they're going to bring in somebody who is actually.
Well, they're still an actor, because an actor is playing a different.
You would
role.
have to call them something else. Well, I mean, if you're an actor that plays the same role all the time,
well,
because you're not allowed to play a deaf person or a blind person or whatever it might be, a mute person or a French person or whatever it is, then what can you do? Then you're just a person who just plays themselves. I mean,
right. No, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. And that's actually 100% true. So, I mean, but I don't know. It's just one of those things where, actors can play, something that they're not, because it's called acting, and I do believe I am one of those people that do believe that, all actors should be able to play whatever they want to play, but also we should be giving roles to blind actors who that's all they can do because they can't. I mean, you know what I mean? Like it's just the way it is. Maybe they can play somebody who sees, but I don't know. I've never seen that happen yet, as far as I know. I've never seen a blind actor play somebody who can see. They have to wear sunglasses literally the whole time, so you don't see their eyes or whatever. If their eyes are like that.
Contacts, maybe.
Contacts,
blue contacts or brown eye. Yeah, I don't even know how that would be. How that would even be done. So
yeah.
I mean, obviously you don't want to cross a line, with things. Angelina Jolie and blackface is not a good thing. But
well, it's got to be in taste, But like what I'm saying is like, a blind person playing a person who can see would be interesting. It would just be hard to kind of. They'd have to have somebody direct them to be able to see. Like right, like where they would go and what they would say, and it might be really hard for a blind person to do that, but not giving them roles or not being able to give them roles because there's not enough characters that are blind, or something. It's sort of hard these days.
So. Well, it would be a liability. I mean, that's for sure. You'd have to take out a larger insurance contract because, what if they fell down the stairs, or something. So you would always have to have somebody with them to make sure that, it never happened.
Right.
I mean, look at Marlene Matlin isn't blind, but she is deaf, but she needs a translator. She reads lips and she signs and stuff like that, but she still needs, Children of a Lesser God, which is the film that she won the Academy Award for. I mean, she's deaf playing a deaf character, but yet she was throughout The West Wing when that was airing, and her character was deaf. She had a translator next to her.
A Law and Order Special Victims Unit. She was deaf, and she had, I believe, she probably had a translator with her. I'm sure.
Well, actually, on West Wing, her character had a translator, so she had like somebody who went around with her. So even though she could speak, you could hear her fine, and then she would sign. She had the translator there that would go between the two people.
Okay.
Go between the characters. So, but that would probably help even behind the scenes too. So
yeah, then maybe that's a real translator. I don't know. like for her. Who knows? But anyway, I guess all in all, I thought this was a fun movie. I thought it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
It was cute. It had some good moments, especially with Robert Englund and the kid. I'm going to keep saying that. It had some great special effects and makeup. Done very well. Other than some of the plot holes and issues or whatever, I thought it was a cute movie. And I'm very glad that this is the first movie back for Maneaters. Now, I've heard there are a couple ones I've picked already that are just terrible. So we'll see about that. But that's always the fun thing. Yeti was not that great, by the way. Just letting you know, it was terrible.
Yeah, that trailer did not look very good, and I was actually getting annoyed with the trailer. So it's with the lead actor who's on like the football team, and like you're seeing the plane.
No, all of them are like all of them are on a football.
Charge and...
They're going to a football thing in like Japan or Australia or something, and their plane crashes in the Himalayas, and just so happens that Yeti lives in the Himalayas. And then you don't really see Yeti all the time. You see more of them just bickering and yelling at each other most of the time. And then Yeti starting. I don't know. It was, you will watch our review sometime. It was not the greatest, But with that being said, this movie was a good one to come back to. It was better than the last one we did, Sea Beast. Wait, no, Eye of the Beast. Because there's two movies with Beast in the name.
Yeah, you and I did. Yeah,
you and I did. That was the first one that we put out. which was actually the second one we did. The first one I did was the one I did with Eric Spudik, and I think I had already scheduled yours first to go first, so I put yours out first. Interesting.
As it should be.
As it should be. John Ward should always next year. Let's we'll have you back on the first episode next season.
There you go.
There you go. So thank you, John. This has been awesome. Sure. Is there anything that we forgot to mention? Because I know you had a lot of notes, but I didn't want
to. Well, at the end, there's two things. There's it's weird is they're all happy in the house at the end. Everything looks great, and they say, "Oh, where's the daughter?" And she's like, "Oh, she's out there looking at the ants." Mm-hmm. And out of nowhere, she just takes her fist and slams it down on the ant.
Maybe that was setting up for the hive.
I don't know, but why kill the ants? What did the ants do? And I went back and I thought, okay, because right before that, we saw a wasp come out of, I forget what it was. It came out of something, maybe a peach or whatever it came out of. And so what? Oh, okay, sequel. Black Swarm 2. There's still a wasp out there, and then it cuts to her at the ants. And when she slams her fist down, I thought maybe like the wasp came out of the ant hole and she hit the wasp. So I went back and I watched it like 3 times, and I was like, step framing it, and I was doing all this stuff. I'm like, no, there's no wasp there. For some reason, she just killed the ant.
The only thing I can imagine, because this is what I thought when I saw it at the end, is that she's still the queen. Remember, she was
what does that have to do with the ant? Why kill
because
ants?
Maybe wasps don't like ants.
I don't know. Then they have to establish that.
I mean, that's the only thing I can imagine, is that's why they did that. Is because now she's the queen wasp still, and she's just not a nice person, She's
I know Robert Englund said that it would just leave her body. He's like, oh, don't worry about it. It's going to leave your body. Once he finds out that she took a bite out of the peach. So I don't know. I mean, maybe she doesn't, we're led to believe that she likes insects from what the mom says, but she really hates them. So she slams her fist on the ant. I
don't know. There's, once again, plot holes. Like lots of problems, lots of things they did that was just like, what? I don't know. I mean, I think that's
those would be the only other two things. I mean, I got so many notes here that it's amazing. So, deputy sheriff has gun training and can fight. Nice. I wrote down because it was nice that she actually could fight and use a gun.
Well, I would hope so.
I mean, there's just so much.
If she's a deputy sheriff, I hope she could fight,
Yeah. Well, it's nice. I mean, they could have made her weaker or something. And then how does the deputy sheriff know that the blind woman died? And you brought that one up.
Yep.
So that was one that I even noticed.
Yep.
But there's a lot of cool things that that deal with the wasp. Guy watering lawn has wasp come out of ear. The dead homeless guy looked kind of cool. The big wasp hits the van windshield. That looked kind of cool. So there's plenty of stuff to watch in this. That's actually wasp explode out of priest hands and head at daughter.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That was kind of cool.
Yeah, a lot of the priest and the mayor stuff, I thought that was fun. With them, like, I just wish the mayor was more interesting. I found the mayor to be kind of bland. Like.
See, I think I may have to steal some of the stuff that we're talking about because I'm now coming up with my own idea. But I think it would have been cool if the priests kind of worshipped them. Like maybe these are the new gods or something, or these wasps that are taking over, and he kind of starts worshiping them. Instead of just being like a drone or a slave to them.
Yeah, because you don't really get to meet him outside of him already being a slave and a drone. So I mean, there's no if there's a little, I kind of wish there was a little bit more backstory with some of these characters that you just kind of got to know them before they turned into drones. But I guess it really doesn't matter in the end, in the scheme of things, because they're
No,
drones.
not really, because of the type of film it is. Well, yeah, well, that too.
Because they're drones. I mean, it's just whatever.
Yeah, I have a daughter gets ice cream from Ice Cream Man. Wasp comes out of ice cream. That was kind of cool.
Well, okay. So she knew something was going on, and then she asked for an ice cream sandwich, and he gave her an ice cream on a cone, and she doesn't say a damn thing to him, just stares at him. And I'm like thinking,
she's kind of freaked out. She says no, thank you. No, she goes, I changed my mind.
Right, but I changed my mind on the ice cream sandwich. He didn't give her an ice cream sandwich. He gave her a cone. She should have asked for a cone of, or whatever. Can I get a, scoop
I think he was
of whatever?
Just grabbing whatever. Hey, if John Carpenter had directed this, she would have been shocked. So.
And then she would become a big time real white housewives of Beverly Hills. So there you go.
There you go.
But yes. Oh my goodness. So there you go. Well, thank you so much, John. This has been fun. Stick around. Sure. We'll chat ourselves. But thank you everybody for checking this out. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you have seen Black Swarm, which I hope you have, if you're listening to our spoilering, commentary here, let us know what you guys think of it. Did you guys agree with our problems with the movie? Do you agree with the good things that we said about the movie? Because we said a lot of good stuff. So just let us know. Also, check out sickflickproductions.com, indiefilmcafe.reviews, indiefilmcafe.podbean.com. And if you have $1 and you can throw us a bone, you can get a free Patreon only podcast on Patreon. So indiefilmcafe.com. Nope. It is patreon.com/indiefilmcafe. There you go. Those things. So the links will be at the bottom here. And so thank you so much. And join us next month for a whole new episode of Maneaters Series. Bye.
Bye.